Well, everybody, I'm back and I'm so excited about my show. And as I say every week, you better put your seatbelt on, especially if you're riding in your car. If you at home, you better sit down somewhere and get out your pen and your pad or your iPhone to take notes because I have a great guest today, Mr. Peter Adams. Pete has been on my show maybe more than anybody else, 4 or 5 times. We are friends. He is a serial entrepreneur. He has started so many businesses, successful business, profitable business, I might say, and it's crazy. He is a law of attraction expert. He and his wife Robin are very philanthropic. They give to so many different organizations and causes. But maybe the most important thing is I know this man's heart. I know his character. I know how he walks in integrity and all he wants to do is serve. He gives away all of his books that he's written to the whole world. And today we're going to be talking about the law of allowing. So, Pete Adams, all the way from Florida, welcome to the Law of Attraction Radio Network again.
Constance, it's so wonderful to be back on your show. I love being on your on the network because it's like every time we get together and do this, I know that we're making a difference in people's lives all over the world, and I couldn't be any more blessed to be part of it. So thank you for inviting me, Constance.
And the reason I want Pete on is because he's walked this out. In business, in life, just in helping other people. So we're going to be answering some of your questions about he's going to be teaching, but then we're going to be asking questions that you guys have sent to me that you want him to answer. So let's get rolling, Pete. So we're going to be talking about the law of allowing. Just that word. I looked it up. It means to permit, to authorize, to let. So what is that powerful law of allowing and what role does it play in manifesting?
Great questions, Constance. The law of allowing, and I love the definition because everything that happens in our experience happens through us. It
Mm,
doesn't come down from the sky and just pop into our reality. Everything comes through us. So if you want to manifest, you've got to create the right pathway within yourself, within your own energy, within your own thoughts, beliefs, everything. Because if you're not allowing or letting the energy come through you to generate the condition of the miracle showing up, you're practicing resistance. So let me
mm.
describe what I mean by that.
Okay.
The One of the real challenges people have when they first start, getting into the idea of, I like the law of attraction. How do I manifest? And it's great. Everyone's starting out at one spot, but one of the things a lot of people run into, and they don't realize it, but they're running into a demonstration of a lack of faith. So it's kind of like let's just say, you know, uh, where I'm at, I want to have a brand new yellow Corvette. I mean, that's just some goal I just made up.
Hmm.
So, and then, I decided to have this car. And then the next thought in my head is, how am I ever going to get that? So it's like, that's an example of putting the resistance against the law of allowing, because if you instead said, I I am so grateful for my beautiful yellow Corvette, and get into the feeling of having gratitude for it. Well, that now you're working in alignment with the law of allowing, so that you're not creating that resistance path, rather you're creating an allowing path. Does that make sense, Constance?
Yeah, and I love that because you said, life is happening through our energy and through our beliefs. And with that example that you gave, uh, it looks like that the listener would have to say, I don't know how, but I love my new yellow Corvette. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Universe. And that changes the energy and sort of permits or authorize that manifestation to come into our lives.
That's perfect, Constance. Because the whole thing is, it's like it's almost like a game where you got
Mhm.
to trick your subconscious into believing, you can manifest your whatever you desire. Because the truth is, you can. But the one of the factors is like a qualifier, I guess I would say, is you can have whatever it is you desire if you can believe that you can have it. That's a big thing.
Yeah. And so believing. So a person who might not cannot believe that they can have that yellow Corvette, how would they get into faith? Would they just what would that look like?
Okay. The 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 way it looks like is, okay, you've come up with your desire, and no, okay,
Mhm.
so your desire is, so you make the decision to decide, and you
Mhm.
decide that you want this you're going to have this yellow Corvette. It's the yellow Corvette is already on its way. So what you stop doing constantly is you stop walking in faith. So it's like, you know, number one, okay, you know what you want. Why do you want it? For whatever reason, is like, you got to have a strong why. Why do I want this thing? And it's like, well, it will make me feel really good. And I love I want a convertible to go down the California coast on my next vacation, something like that. And and then you start, working on, and what does it look like? So that's a big one right there. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, what does it look like? Okay, now I can visualize myself driving my yellow Corvette. Okay, and what does that feel like? Oh, it feels awesome because it's like, it's sunny out. I get the wind blowing through my hair. I get my loving wife next to me in the car, and we're cranking the tunes and hauling down the coast and having a blast. And now it's like, okay, now I can get into the feeling of like, we're laughing. I feel so grateful to have such a beautiful automobile, and
Mhm.
thank you, thank you, thank you. So you start combining the visual with the feeling and the emotion and the joy and the gratitude. And it's like, and you can see that in your mind's eye and effectively visualize it. Well, now you're really getting in alignment with the law of allowing, because it's like, hey, I'm making it easy for your subconscious mind. It's like, hey, you know what I want? You know what it looks like? You know what it's going to feel like? Let's get on it.
Ooh,
And have gratitude now that it's done and it's on its way. It's not like, I wonder if it's going to come in. And no, it's like it's a done deal. It's a
I
done deal.
love that.
Yeah.
Pete, and for listeners, you know, one way that you can really cement your faith is the Bible says God has already given you all things. So if your desire is a yellow Corvette, you just decide, because what you're choosing. In the quantum world, it says all possibilities exist. So when you put your focus on that yellow Corvette, you decide this is what I want. Um, and then because you've been given all things. Never Goddard said creation is finished. You're just choosing. And so, Pete, I love it how you're choosing to be in faith, to be in gratitude, to see it, to feel it, to see your hair flowing. If you're a woman driving with your man in the Corvette, and grateful.
No, perfect. The creation is finished. Okay, Constance, that totally inspired me to share an amazing story
Okay.
with everyone. I think you and I have had this discussion before, uh, one or two times at lunch or something like that. But anyways, it's in 2015, I was up in North Carolina with Robin, and we're in the mountains, and we're just having a wonderful time. But it was kind of like a spiritual vacation almost for like six
Mm-hmm.
months. Well, during that time, I had a friend of mine share with me some guided meditations, and essentially it was like, you know meet your spirit guides kind of thing. And they were very long meditations, and they were unbelievable. The information that came into me actually became the my second book, the Seven Master Keys for Success with Deliberate Creation. And what was shared with me in a visual is the whole process of creation being done. And this is how it was shared with me.
Okay.
It's like, Spirit showed me that like all around us there are these energy meridians. That's how I describe them. So just imagine like this giant net of energy, like a grid. And what happens is when you desire something, you put it out there. Well, when you get into alignment with that vibration of whatever that thing or that experience or thing is, it makes the connection like it's almost like shortened against the grid. And then there's the demonstration where the thing that you have been working on demonstrating shows up in your experience. So it's like, everything is out, everything, anything you desire, it's already created, like Constance said. It's just bringing it through, allowing it to come in. And it was powerful as heck for me because you know what, here's something funny, Constance. We're all good friends with Jade and Sterling,
James,
right? Uh,
rich and famous and prosperous Jaden
yeah.
Sterling.
Okay, this just came to me. It's like when he saw the grid about 8 years before I did. He came over to my office when I was down in St. Petersburg, and he's describing what he saw, and he was describing the grid. So he's kind of like about 7 years ahead of me as far as spiritual growth goes. But he saw it, and then I saw it, and I'm like, wow. I know it's not a coincidence, but it
Mm-mm.
was just a wonderful way to explain how things happen. It's just like, it's you're a co-creator. You're not doing all this stuff yourself. You're working with spirit, and spirits, you put it out what you want. The spirit delivers if you're in alignment with the law of allowing. It's that simple.
The power. So, Peter, I'm going to bring in a listener's question. And, you talked about driving in this car and, Robin's hair blowing in the wind. I'm just using you and Robin. And,
Mhm.
what is that famous highway in California? Is it Route 66? I don't know, but it's something beautiful. It's such a scenic route.
Yeah,
So,
I think it is.
so this person said, how do you visualize and I'm going to say and allow use the art of allowing when her problems keep popping up in her mind during her meditation. What would you say to that?
Okay, great question, because I've been through that as
Yeah, me
well.
too.
Yeah, and the best advice I can give to the listeners, when you start having those fearful thoughts come in, so it's like you're working on vision that which you desire, and then you get I call it the monkey mind, where it's just like the negativity starts talking to you, and it's essentially negative self-talk, and you just
Hmm.
need to basically say stop. Just whatever you're doing, if it's coming through, just say no. I'm not going to think that, and then restart the process. And what I can guarantee you is that the listener stays with working with spirit every day. Every day there's going to be less of those messages coming through. It might
Hmm.
take a month, might take 6 weeks, but if you can master it. It's like, you're the one in charge of your mind, the other one who's controlling your thoughts. So, you know, tell these naysayers just go away. I'm not listening, and this is what I'm working on, and this is what I'm going to achieve, regardless of what you think, kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just like you have the ability to control your thoughts, and when you let go of your control of your thinking, it can get crazy. It's like I call it the downward spiral. All of a sudden, your mind starts like feeding upon itself. It's like it
Hmm.
goes from bad to worse to, oh my gosh, it's all over kind of thing, and it's all in your head. It's like you're not no one threw you to the curb, took your house. It's all in your mind. So it's just like, if you want to create what you don't want, focus your thoughts on the downward spiral, and don't be surprised when what you fear shows up, because the way of the law of attraction works, it works in both directions. In your experience. I'm not saying you can, use law of attraction and, put uh, a spell on your neighbor. It's just in your thoughts. If you think success, you will have success. If you
Mm-hmm.
fear, not having success and believe in failure. And one of the best things that I ever heard was worrying is like praying for what you don't want to have happen.
So
I mean,
true.
get this one, Constance. A kid that said that was he was the son of a couple that were going to a law of attraction group in Florida that I used to go to, and when this kid was at the time was about 10 years old, and I'm like, whoa, this guy, he should be writing his books, and he's only 10 years old. It was just brilliant. So it's just like I said, wearing is like praying for what you don't have happen, and wearing goes right smack dab into blocking the law of allowing.
Yeah, it
Because
does.
yeah, because you start putting out those fears. Well, it's like if you think failure, you're blocking success. You're successfully creating your reality, but you're creating what you don't desire.
Yeah,
It's your
that's
you're you're
good.
you're 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 the captain of the ship. And
So
you
true.
yeah.
And this morning I had a difficult time with my for this listener. I had a difficult time with my visualization, and this is what I have given myself the grace to do. Well, I breathe and I get into the vibration, and I was listening to a guided meditation, but whenever my mind went off, um, you got to record repeat in an hour. I just gently brought it back. So with grace, gently bring your mind back with the thoughts, with the feelings, and with the imagination of what you want. And it's kind of like training a little puppy that's all wild and all over the place. Pretty soon it may take a while to get that puppy discipline. I'm going to say, neuroscientists say it takes 63 days for you to change, for your brain to rewire. So be consistent. Start off with 5 or 10 minutes. Gently bring your mind back, and pretty soon you actually tame your mind. And what's the another word I'm looking for? And you get your mind in the vibration of, oh, no, 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 this is what I want, and this is what I'm focusing in on. So don't judge yourself. That's what I would say to that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, don't never for all the listeners. It's like never ever beat yourself up because you're not doing something perfectly with the law of attraction. Here's the thing: almost everyone on this planet has spent the overwhelming majority of their life, on autopilot. It's just like,
Hmm.
they're just going with, they're going with the flock, and it's just like, you know, just because everyone else believes something doesn't mean you need to believe it because, my experience has been, most people have no idea what is truly going on in their reality, and it's just like, it's we get the opportunity to create the reality we desire because we have that ability, but most people have no idea that they have the ability and they don't believe that it could be true. It's like in my personal experience, I've done it. So it's not kind of like, oh, I wonder if it works. I
Hmm.
know, gosh darn it, how it works all the time. And the only time it's not showing up that which I desire, it's me. I'm blocking it. And
Yeah, I love
that's
that.
yeah, that's the only answer. Because it's like you can demonstrate anything. You're working with spirit. There's no limitations unless you set some up. And I'm honest. It's like, hey, I know it's like, okay, why hasn't this thing showed up yet? Well, it's because I'm not right on the inside. Whether I can figure out what it is or not off the top of my head, but deep down somewhere, there's a belief or a thought or a series of them that are blocking the law of allowing from operating in my experience.
I love that. So we mentioned this, but I'm going to merge these. So how does the law of allowing, what's the role of imagination, gratitude, feeling, and emotions with the law of allowing? You mentioned it in that example that you gave, but what would that look like for listeners?
Okay, the I'll go back to the example of what it looks like. It's really it's almost like a symphony. We have
I love
you
that.
yeah, it's a symphony, and once all the instruments are in alignment with like the law of allowing, the beautiful music happens. but it's like you got to get you've got to be able to see what it looks like in your mind's eye and believe it. That's part of the symphony. You got to be able to know that it is done and on its way to you. And one of my biggest things is gratitude now.
Mm.
Be grateful now. You that is already shown up in your experience, and you can get in the visualization and have, see it vividly, to the point where it's like it's real. It's real while you're in that visualization, and it's real until you come out of it. And have the feelings of gratitude. Because gratitude is like, I know I overuse this word, but it's like the secret sauce.
No, it is
It's like the magic key that opens up everything for you. So it's like,
so
what if you
true.
just, yeah, what it's like, and gratitude is you're putting out the vibration of love back to spirit. It's like, I am so grateful to have this. And it's like, you know what makes me feel good? I can feel good in that visualization, as if whatever I'm working on has manifested already into my experience. I already own it, and that's just a matter of time. I know it's on its way. So I'm not putting out there, well, I wonder when it's going to show up. Stay out of the house, stay out of that whole realm.
Mhm.
That's spirit. Spirit's going to decide what needs to happen for your miracle to show up. And it's like, let spirit handle it. You don't need to know how it's going to happen. And you start getting into the house, you start getting, you're doubting that it's going to happen. So it's like you get into the house, you start eroding your faith, because you have to have faith. Faith is constant. This is the best one I've ever heard. And it came from you on a show a few years ago. And it was like when you talked about the knowing of a lady who's going to have a baby.
Mhm.
She's pregnant. No, it's not showing any place yet,
Mhm.
but she's the only one who knows she's pregnant. And she knows that the baby is on its way. It's not like she's got, well, mate, is it going to come and not show up? It's like, no, you're pregnant. The baby is on its way, and the baby is your miracle. When you operate from that level of knowing, which is like it's like taking trust and putting trust on steroids. You see
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's so good. And when you know something, you don't even have to have any evidence of it in the 3D world, on the physical plane of your life, because on the inside you're knowing something. And Pete, you were talking about the art of allowing and feelings and emotions. And I'm going to give you this other question from another listener who said, how can he stay in the vibration of abundance of money when he has so many bills? I guess when he's paying his bills, and how can he stay in that vibration? And you just mentioned earlier, being grateful now, seeing and feeling yourself, not knowing how. So what would you say to that person about their bills and money?
Okay, this is great because you know my story, Constance. You know, I was downsized many years ago, and I was making a lot less money than I used to make from my former employer.
Mhm.
And long story short, I had bills. Bills. I was a friend of Bill's, if you can remember the Clinton administration, right? And yeah, it was the same thing. It was just like what I did, right? It's
So
like
were
when
you
I
anxious, Pete? Were you
oh
worried about the bills when I mean, how were you
yeah.
feeling?
Oh, let me tell you how I was feeling, right? Because it's like this is literally how it felt. It's every day I would go to the mailbox at the end of the driveway, and I'd open it up, and there would be like bills,
Mm.
bills, bills, bills. Like, how can I have this many bills? All right,
Mhm.
I mortgage payments, car payments, credit cards, student loans, and I was just like, I did the math one day, and I'm like, you really, you know why you feel like you don't have any money? It's because you're running in the red. It's just getting
Mhm.
worse. It's like, every day I'm going further in debt than rather than like
Mhm.
going the other way. So what I did was there was that was the first goal I had in when I created my 12 crazy goals. It was I have no consumer debt. And when made that goal, that was so ridiculous, Constance. It was right on the precipice of being believable because so I went as far as I could without crossing the line of like not being unable to believe it. So what I did was like in my hour of power, which I practiced every morning back then at the beach, and I would go into my mind and I basically put all the fears, I'd leave all the fears and everything at the car. Once I got out of the car, got my beach chair, my booking bags, and went to go do my hour of power. It's like it was kind of like, well, I'll lock it in the trunk, and when I come back, I'll face reality, right?
Yeah, I get
So
that.
yeah, so what I started doing is it's like when you're visualizing and you're running the show, it's like you're in control. You're not sitting there, oh, I'm trying to visualize having wealth, but it's you need to leave the butt in the trunk of the car because once you start freeing yourself from the fear of not
Mhm.
having enough money, and you what you need to do is you need to put that on pause because when you're visualizing abundance, and this is what I did, I would visualize in my mind's eye going to that mailbox, opening it up, and there was nothing in there. There were no bills. It was only
Wow.
some junk mail. And I would see myself just had to have massive gratitude. Thank you, Lord, for being free of debt. It feels so amazing. The worry's gone. I feel so fantastic. And I'd have that gratitude feeling as I saw myself in my mind's eye going up to the trash can and throwing all the junk mail in the trash. And I had that feeling. And the story. It didn't happen overnight, but I think it was about 2 years. I had I banked out all my 12 crazy goals. I didn't have any debt. And it was just like from where I was until where I was 2 years later, after beginning to work with a visual festation system, my life was completely be, like a beachfront remodel television show. So I went from the beat up old house to the beautiful one, and it was like, and it was all created in my mind and then experienced in my I call it
Wow.
physicality. So it's like I've been there. It's just like stay with it and just do your best to just make an agreement with yourself. It's like in your mind. It's like I'm not going to have any thoughts of worry until I get done with my hour of power. And then it's just like you kind of roll your hour of power, and the edges aren't so sharp on the feeling of having too much debt. It's just like all of a sudden it starts not feeling so bad, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like you're on your way. Well, what's coming to you is abundance, and have gratitude now for it. And it's trust me, it's like it will show up. If you get it right. And the thing is, have gratitude now because you're feeling good, and it's like it's on its way. So it's like the other part of it is feeling bad is temporary. Everything is temporary,
Mhm.
you know and once you decide to go for what you desire, you stay with it, and you stay with it until it shows up. You don't like kind of like half it. Well, well, maybe it'll show up, and if I don't get it in a week, I'm done with this law of attraction stuff. Doesn't work. Well, it does work. So stay
So
with it, and
true.
it's up to you. Nobody. And that's the other thing too. It's like I can't do it for you. Constance can't do it for you. You can send me an email. I'll give you the best advice I can, but you've got to do it. It's not like here. The secret code is 123B7. And you get me a miracle. No, you need to do the darn work. I'd love to tell you, it's like, well, yeah, you can have everything. You don't need to do anything to get it. Just your wish is my command. Well, your wish is my command, but the wish comes with some stuff that you need to do. It's not just the genie gives you everything. The genie can give you everything, but you need to do your work in physical reality to have that become part of your experience.
And that's so good. And what Pete is saying and what he did and shared with this question, He changed his focus because whatever you focus on, you're gonna get more of it. More of that. Whatever has your attention has and creates your world. So to this listener, if you're focusing on lacking what you don't have, what you wish you have, but if you could just begin to put your focus, your attention, you're paying with your attention, your feeling and your emotion. And as you guys have heard me say lately, it's a universal law. It's a kingdom law. It has to work, and so you ain't that special that it won't work. So maybe you can't go to the beach, but go out on your front porch, go in the backyard, go walking, be grateful, and just you may start with 10 minutes in the morning, then 10 minutes at night, etc. Whatever works for you, but it's a universal law and it has to work. So
Oh,
true. Pete, go,
absolutely.
so Pete, the art of allowing um with anything works. Let's just talk a little bit about for people who got big goals. How
Okay,
how does
great.
that work?
Excuse me, pardon me, Constance. The one of the things about big goals, and because a lot of people who are new to the law of attraction, is that they might come out with something that a little bit hard to believe, such as I will be a billionaire by 4 o'clock Friday afternoon, and it's
Mm-hmm.
Monday. Okay, okay, that's a pretty big goal, especially if you don't have any money right now. It's one thing to have 900 million and get into the next million, 100 million, popping over to a billion. But the thing is, I've seen is like the biggest thing for people is when you go big, don't go so big that you can't believe it to be
Yeah,
true
so
or it could be
true.
true, because that's an example of where you're blocking the law of allowing, and you're blocking it with those doubtful thoughts. Because it's like if you can't believe it, well, you can't manifest it. There's a correlation there. It's like you can only go um, as far as you can at what level you're at. It's like it's a law of correspondence. It's like if you're operating at the level of $100,000 per year, and going to like I'm gonna earn $10 million per year is a jump, because the next thing that's going to happen is like, well, how's that going to happen? How do I go from 100,000 to a million? And instead of like, having gratitude for it actually happening, well, it's like you can't fake the universe on this stuff with your vibration, because it's like you can only manifest at the level you're at, or you can grow. Trust me, it's like once you get rolling, if you can really believe it, you can have it. But if your goals are too big to believe, you need to bring them down a little bit to get to that point where, yeah, I can believe this can happen, and this is what it would look like. Because if you try to go too big, when you try to do your visualization, it's like you can't even put it together, because it's like you can't believe it to be true, so you really can't visualize it and have gratitude that it is true because you don't believe it. So that's an example of blocking, the law of allowing. Because if you, let's say you're operating at a level of, say, a Christ, well, it's like done deal. It's like you can have it immediately. You don't need to wait, because you have that faith, and you have that belief system that's like a like an oak tree, you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, but it's like it's like you gotta have faith, that it could be true, but you really need to be able to believe it, because if you're lying to yourself, you're kind of wasting your time, in my opinion.
Well, and what I see is you're incrementally increasing your consciousness. You might believe at 10%, then 20%, then 30%, then 40%, and you cannot fool your subconscious mind. There's a verse in the Bible that said, faith comes by hearing, that's a verb, and hearing by the word of God. Hearing means you hear it over and over and over and over and over again. And the more you hear it, your faith gets bigger, bolder, more. And so if people can just relax and realize all they need to do is every day get up and intentionally do all the things, or get in the vibrations of everything that Pete said, using this art, this law of allowing, that eventually you can manifest whatever you want to.
Oh, that is
I
so
just
true,
love that.
Constant. Yeah, well, that's the thing too. For myself, when like anybody else, I read a couple of books, and the power of the magic of believing, and the power of your subconscious mind. And I read these books, and it was probably like if I read if I read my first book, Visual Festation. It's like kind of like the same thing. It was just like, this guy did it, these people, and there were all these things in these books with the people having success manifesting miracles. And I'm like, you know what? It's like this is before anything happened. And I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. I'm gonna
Hmm.
do this until it shows up, or I'll just keep doing it. And one, 12 Crazy Goals was the first thing that rolled through. And and it was just like I made these goals that were crazy, and I manifested all of them. And it's just like, it didn't happen overnight, but it did happen. And the other thing too is, like, right before it comes into your experience, everything looks exactly the same. Let's say you're working on manifesting $25,000. Well, right before, you have no idea where the $25,000 comes from. Maybe it comes from a scratch off ticket, but it comes in. You don't, your thought was, oh, I never thought it'd come from a scratch off ticket, whatever. So it shows up, but right before you scratch that ticket, you're sitting there saying, "Gosh, man, it's like I don't have money for groceries next week, or the rent's due,
Hmm.
and I don't know how I'm going to pay it." And then, boom, it's there. Miracle manifested, problem solved. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I
And on,
love that.
yeah, and then on to the next one. It's and as you do that, it's it's like it's like being an athlete and training with weights. It's just like you keep lifting weights, you keep going to the gym, you're gonna start seeing results. You're not gonna be Arnold Schwarzenegger in a week, but if you stay with it like a couple, I mean, bodybuilders, they'll do this stuff for like 20 years. They stay with it, and
Hmm.
they get results. If you stay with working with spirit and the law of attraction, you will get results. It will show up, because it's like, unless you're blocking the allowing, there's no reason why it can't. It's no reason why it's not going to come in. Come in when you want it. Come in when you need it. You know,
So
it's
true. Great example of that would be, boy, we got about 10 minutes. Um, a great example of that would be, I do weight training 4 times a week. And so one day I went in and I realized I can add 5 more pounds to this. Why? Because I had been using that muscle with that 10-pound weight, but I had trained that muscle. So I what? Added 5 more pounds. Same thing in consciousness. Same thing in meditation. Oh, I've been doing my meditation for 10 minutes, but this morning, see, your mind is being trained. I went for 16 minutes. And that's how you do it incrementally. The Bible says going from grace to grace, glory to glory, level to level, consciousness to consciousness, because whatever is going on inside is what's going to happen outside.
ooh, that was good, Constance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
As within, so without.
uh, yeah,
Eh,
absolutely. And you're spot on. It's every morning that you do your hour of power, you do your spirit work. That's like going to the gym.
yeah.
It's like you don't see it, but spiritually you're getting more. You recognize you're already unbelievably powerful, but what's happening is y- you're allowing yourself to recognize that your spiritual force is getting stronger as you have your belief system change. You allow more and more in, to the point where you become unstoppable, because and that's when you start. Okay, you nail these goals, then you sit back, like, this is what happened with me. I'm like, okay, what else? If obviously I can have whatever I want, whatever I desire.
Hmm.
It just comes to me to make, okay, make the decision of what you desire to have. and stay with it. And that's just what happened with me in the when I won the Ironman lottery slot to do Ironman Hawaii. I mean, it was that at that point, it was just like I was a triathlete, and I'm like, the coolest thing I could do is like, it's like I want to do Kona. I want to do that race. So I raced it in my mind, and I'm telling you, it was amazing experience. I can tell you that, because what ended up happening during that race was a complete blueprint for what I had been visualizing for 4 months. And oh,
I
actually,
believe it.
yeah. And then when I was in the race and physicality, it came to me. It's like when I was on the Queen K Highway, like mile 22. Spirit spoke to me like in a voice just like this and said, "You created this. You created all of this." And that's was like a moment I had an epiphany, and I look back and I'm like, "Wow! Everything I saw in my mind's eye showed up in my experience, just like of what I had visualized, like to the point it was scary." And I thought for sure I was dead and I was in heaven doing this race, and God was giving me, he's like, I know you always wanted to do this, so here's the experience. And I realized it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and then like, a few years later, it turned on me, and I realized that it's just the opposite. It's like I didn't die to go to heaven and do the race. I am in heaven doing the race,
Yeah.
and that's where we are. It's like, it's like you're we are all in heaven. Um, that's a choice. It's like you can have your personal heaven, or you can have your personal not so nice version of heaven. It's you can have anything you desire, and spirit wants the highest and best for you, no matter what stuff looks like on the surface. You know,
I say we're creating heaven on earth, and the Bible says we got 5 minutes to speak. The Bible says whatever you imagine, even God can't withhold it from you. That's how powerful you are. That's how awesome you are. So Pete, what would you suggest to people who are really ready to start working with the law of attraction? What is that process?
Oh, okay, great, Constance. Look, we touched on it before. You need to decide what you want
Okay.
to experience in this life. So that's the what piece, and the what piece is followed closely by, okay, why? Why do you say you want whatever you say you want? So you need to
Mm-hmm.
dig down, and it's like, if it's strong enough, it'll be like the ultimate answer will be love. You want to feel love, and somehow this experience is going to give you the ability to really feel love, which is what you want. We all want to feel. So okay, great. I know I want it. Then okay, and then in your mind's eye, you need to be able to figure out what it looks like. So okay, if I had what I say I desire right now, what would my life look like?
Mm-hmm.
And be able to see it, and write out what it would look like. And on top of that, okay, what does it feel like? Because it's like, if you just have the visual, okay, but it's almost like a black and white picture versus a picture with color.
Mm-hmm. That's
When you
good.
add the feelings of emotion to that which you desire, now the picture becomes vivid. Now you got color, and it's, now you're in 3D. And then from there, you probably I have already reached this piece, but like, again, can you believe it? So it's like, if you know what you want, you know why you want it, and you can believe you can have it, now you're off to the races. And now what you start, once you have all that, now you can start creating your a vision board. And all vision board is to help you with visualizing that which you desire. And it's so funny. It's like, um I have a vision book instead of a vision board. And the reason I do that, Constance, is because I like to be able to travel without carrying around a big styrofoam board, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the other piece is my my board, from like when I began, and when I stopped using it, it was just a mess. I All these things I had put on there came true through working with, doing creative visualization, and dermal power, and the other techniques, such as affirmations. Affirm that you already have it. Like, I am statements. I am a successful investor, and always have the I ams as is in the now. Scripting is another great technique. Some people are less visual than others, and scripting is essentially doing a creative visualization exercise and just putting it down on paper with gratitude. Lord, I'm so happy for my new lake home. Blah, 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 blah. Another part of it is acting as if, which is like basically you hop into your dream life ahead of time and you're living it now in your mind's eye. So it's just like, you can walk around to like, through the, like, say, let's say you go to Walmart and it's just like, nobody knows I won $100 million. I'm the only one. And so it's just like, have that feeling that it's like, I could give away so much money to all these needy people and they wouldn't even touch my wealth. I'm so grateful to be able to help others. And it's just like, get in that kind of feeling. And the most important thing I can tell anybody is do it every day. It's your life. It's the most important. Your life is the most important thing, period. And it's just
So
like,
true.
yeah. And it's like, if you're not serious about your success and what aren't able, it's like, I always get I don't have enough time. Well, we all have the same amount of time in the day. It's just like, when you're not absolutely forced to do something like at your job, well, the rest of the time is yours. Hey, get up early. You don't have time, just go to bed earlier. You don't need to be watching 46 runs of your favorite TV show and staying up to 2 in the morning. I mean, that's just a waste of your time when you can spend that time working on that which you desire and manifesting it. It's like, it's up to you. I mean,
It is. It
that's
is.
a that's the truth.
Well, Pete, we needed more time, but we feel like we shared what the spirit wanted us to share. Tell people what is your website. Pete gives his books away. He and Robin are so generous and so kind and so giving. How can people find out more about you, your books, your services, etc.?
Sure, sure. Love to, Constance. Our website is peterdadams.com and the D as in Delta. So it's Peter D as in Delta Adams.com. And if you sign for our Tools for Your Success, you'll get an auto reply type email that will contain a link to all of my works, um, ebooks, audiobooks, all the stuff I sell on Amazon for free, along with
Wow.
35 plus success ebook classics like The Power of Awareness from Neville Goddard. And for people who are watching this show, I had never heard of Neville Goddard until around 2019. I think Justin
Okay.
Perry turned me on to him.
Mm-hmm.
And his Neville Goddard's work is unbelievable. So it's like if I could tell you to read one book besides mine, it'd be the Power of
Okay.
Awareness. Great stuff, and he's a blessing. And also we have a Visual Festation YouTube channel, which has everything I've done over the years out there. So you want to just listen to the audiobooks, um, have at it. Everything's free. So no excuses. I don't have enough money. I don't want to hear it. I'm guaranteeing it for free. Just take it, use it, share it. That's all I
Okay.
can say.
Thank you so much. So when Peter said Peter D. Adams, I said, does that D stand for dollar? Million dollar, but we don't have enough time to play with that one. But everybody go to his website. He's giving it to you free plus 30. Is it 30 other free?
Yeah, I think it's like
30,
I think it's like
28 or 30.
40. Yeah, it's like
Okay.
40 now. Yeah.
40 different free books that you can read, saturate, immerse yourself in it. Peter Adams, we're so grateful to you, so grateful to your beautiful wife, Robin. Robin and I are sisters. She makes Pete look good, and she's behind the scenes, but she's just as powerful as he is. And we're grateful for your wisdom and knowledge. Guys, listen to this over and over again. Share it on your timeline, share it on your social media. Listen over and over and take notes. And as I say every week, 2024 is the year of more. And this week, I want you to make a decision. As Pete said, everything begins with the decision to create the life of your dreams. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you, Constance.